People know what consistency is, but they don't stay consistent. That's like the funniest thing you could say. Yeah, I don't think people know what consistency is. David Goggins' YouTube video where he's like, "You gotta wake up, you gotta run 10 miles, you gotta stay hard," like that. Like,
Welcome back to another episode. Today we are with Nate, the man, the myth, the legends.
yeah, I'm Nate. If you don't know me already, I'm the founder of a Roblox company called Barrier 4. And what we do is we make game trailers, animations, everything go to market for brands that build on Roblox and Fortnite. We've been doing this for the past few years, but I grew up on Roblox. So I've got like 11 or 12 years. I joined 2011, 2012, sometime between then. And I've been building on Roblox ever since, but not in the typical way where like you build a game. I work with the people that build the game. So back in like 2011, 2012, I was working with Preston, the build, what was the studio name?
Big Games? Wait, is it?
Yeah, Big Games. Yeah,
Big
Preston,
Games,
who owns Big Games. So I was an original member of Big Games back in 2012-ish. When we were doing guest events, and I made all the game icons, thumbnails, the user interface, stuff like that. That slowly developed into I was doing game thumbnails and icons for other developers like the Gamer 101, who was like a big Roblox guy back in that time. That slowly developed into now I'm making videos for developers. Eventually, back in 2020 when COVID happened, I started interviewing all my Roblox developer friends, and they started asking me to make game trailers for them. So I started making game trailers for people. Brands started to notice that. I mean, started making game trailers for brands. And now this is my full-time gig. I do this all day, every day. You have about 20, 25 people. Like Preston, this was like way before Preston was even like famous or like anything. Like it's crazy also because I grew up with like all of these big developers, but we were like friends and working together before they even, launched their big games. Like Nufisi from Adopt Me. Oh, yeah. Like I interviewed him in my Roblox magazine, which I forgot to mention in my intros. I had a Roblox magazine. We worked with Roblox, printed it for RDC. Like I interviewed him a bunch, and like we knew each other back in the day when he was doing a Treehouse Tycoon before he launched Adopt Me. It's just like super crazy seeing like the transition from, they're solo developers to now like Preston has McDonald's toys, and like Adopt Me even had McDonald's. So like they're doing big things, but it's being on Roblox is crazy, dude.
I feel like you guys are like the first generation. Let's say I would probably say that.
I first got into Roblox, like I said, back in 2011, 2012. That was through an advertisement I saw on another gaming website called Mini Clips Games. I don't know if you've heard of Mini Clips, but that's how I found out about Roblox. And just from playing it and being on the Roblox forums, that's how I got connected with all of these big developers originally. And over time, as I developed those connections and kind of started working on my creative abilities in Photoshop, designing the thumbnails, designing the icons, eventually leading up to what we're doing now, which is game trailers. I think it was never like an intentional decision to start a Roblox business. It just kind of happened because that's where I was spending most of my time. So I was never like writing down a business plan, like this is what I want to do, this is how much I want to charge, this is who my target audience is. Like I never did any of that. I literally just started doing stuff and people started paying me to do it. And that's just kind of how it worked out. But as we've kind of built Barrier 4 up to where it is now, so over time, it started to form into a more intentional company and more intentional process. And, obviously our target customer now is brands as they launch their Roblox experience. Like most recently, we work with Mr. Beast and Amazon Prime as he launched Beast games on Roblox. So Twin Atlas made that game. So that's, doing the game thumbnail. And then with other clients, like we'll work with you, like we'll do icons. We'll do like the go-to-market strategy, like how can they, reach their audience on Roblox. We'll do all the social media content, integrations even. But over time it slowly developed to be more intentional, but from the start it was never planned. I never decided I wanted to do a business. It just happened that way.
Working like your target is like your big brands and stuff. How do you get contact with them?
It's a question I get a lot, and there's not like a clear answer to it. From the start, when I started Barrier 4, I had a list of like the top studios that I wanted to work with. So I had The Gang, I had Infinite Canvas, I had Voldex, I had Super Social. I listed out all of these studios, and then I reached out to them individually. Like, hey, we do game trailers, we do all this marketing, would love to work with you. And then we developed the relationships with those studios originally. And then they would bring us the brand. So it'd be brand, studio, then us. And over time, we've kind of gotten more direct to brand. But the way that we started building the relationships with the people, and then let me back this up. In order to understand how we get clients, it's the same, in every industry. There is someone who brings in all of those clients.
Oh yeah.
And the way that we build our company is we build partnerships with the people that bring in all the clients. So all you really need to do is have a really solid service and then a really solid relationship with the person that brings in all of those brands and all of those studios. And then they become that funnel. And it's literally just it's just replicating that, 10 times. So having 10 different, like really good partnerships and really good relationships with 10 different studios that all bring in brands. And then you're just down there, and then they all funnel the work to you. And you don't have to go out and do, cold outreach. You don't have to go out and email people. They just come to you, especially if you have really good relationships with those core people. So that's how we get clients. That's how I grew my company. And that's how, if I start another company, that's how I'm going to build it. And no matter what industry I build it into, you have those relationships with people that bring in the people that you want to work with. If you just get one solid source and then get 10 solid sources over time, they all come to you. So that's how I get my clients. That's how I will always get my clients. Referrals, relationships, and partnerships. That's how you do it.
Remember like the tweet that you tweeted out earlier about how like brands and then the middleman, and then developers at the end. That's funny.
I tweet about this all the time because I'm so involved in the Roblox brand space that I see all the good and bad of this, building with brands. And there is like a really weird trend where, a brand will be like, hey, here's $1 million. We want to, have a Roblox integration. Go have fun. But then that will go to one agency who will find another agency to find another agency to find another agency to find another agency to find the game. And then each agency in that chain will take 10%, 15%, turns into, realistically, it's like $200,000 at the end. So $800,000 is lost in this process from people taking commission or taking a little fee from that $1 million. And the developer gets $200,000, and you can't really do much with $200,000. So that's why when you see a lot of these brand integrations go out, like it's like not that great.
Oh yeah.
And that's because the budget just gets diluted down to nothing.
Right.
Yeah. Imagine if like you as a developer got $800,000 instead of $200,000. Like you can do so much more with that. You can pay more developers to build bigger things. You can do a bigger marketing. Like there's a lot more you can do with $800,000.
If that's the case, then how are you gonna like fix the problem though?
By putting people like, and I'm super biased, but like putting people like Barrier 4 higher up on the stream. So we're one of the first people in that agency chain. And then that way we can go directly to the developer rather than going to another agency who will go to another agency. It's brand ideally. There's usually another like relationship agency, like I mentioned, us, and then the developer. And I think that should be the total agency chain. There should be no one else besides that.
When you were starting out everything like your careers and stuff, what is like the one thing that you want to tell yourself if you can?
That is a tough question. I would tell myself that it's going to be harder than you think. Really just kind of reshape my mindset early on. Just expecting things to be harder than you anticipate. So like making $1 million is not going to be easy. Making $100,000 is not going to be easy. And just expect it to be difficult. Because I guess like as like anyone else who is young and like they're like starting their first business, you're like, hey, I'm gonna make $1 million in my first year, and it's gonna be great. And then I'm gonna have like a Lamborghini, I'm gonna have a mansion, whatever. I think I would go back and tell myself it's not gonna be that easy. work, like, expect it to be difficult. I think that's what I would tell myself. Thing in life is to be alive is to suffer, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. Like suffering is just, part of human nature. So just the sooner you accept that you're going to suffer and you don't feel bad for yourself and you just push through it and work and do what you're going to do anyway, like the better things are going to be. It's just, yeah, to live is to suffer, as like grim as that sounds.
What do you think is a factor that contribute to your success today? Like,
Yeah, super easy. That's a super easy answer for me.
don't tell me. No.
So late.
I'm about to say like other than consistency. I feel like nowadays everybody kind of like understand what consistency is now, but it's just that people just don't stay consistent to it. Which I feel like
People know what consistency is, but they don't stay consistent. That's like the funniest thing you could say. Yeah, I don't think people know what consistency is. They don't. They watch like the inspirational David Goggins YouTube video where he's like, "You gotta wake up, you gotta run 10 miles, you gotta stay hard," like that. Like they watch the inspirational like videos at 2 a.m. and then they wake up and then don't do anything about it. Like it's literally like day in and day out doing the hard stuff every single freaking day without watching David Goggins videos, because no one who's consistent is going to be watching David Goggins videos every day. They're going to be actually working and actually putting in
walk the walk.
the time.
Walk the walk.
Yeah, that's what consistency is. That's it, yeah. So they know what consistency is in their head when they watch David Goggins, but they don't do it in real life. So that's why like every like millionaire, everyone who's successful say consistency is what made them successful. And it's because that's exactly what it is. It's consistency, doing the same, like the boring stuff every single day. That's like, if you were to follow me a day in my life, it's I wake up, go to the coffee shop, come to my office and work all day, go home, and then repeat that process every day for years. I've been doing Barrier 4 for the past 5 years. Before that, I was doing a in-person video production studio for like 3 years. Before then, I was doing Roblox magazine for 2 or 3 years. But it's been the same thing. I wake up, go to work, and do that. Like I'm not doing anything else in my life besides building a company. Like that's what contributes to my success. Is it becomes my life. It's toxic if you let it be toxic.
Oh, yeah.
If you go home and then you work and don't have like a personal life, don't interact with your family. If you're married like me, like you don't have to interact with your wife, then there will be definitely downsides to it. But it depends on like, what are your life goals? What are you trying to do with your life? That really kind of makes it worth putting in that time, the effort, and the consistency. So you have to find the balance, but sometimes there is no balance and you have to accept that.
To get to million USD a year, like what's the mental shift that you have to prepare? It has to sacrifice to get there.
I think the mental shift is you have to accept that you can't do everything. So you have to get other people involved with you. Some will call it delegation. It is delegation, and it's building a really solid team to build with you. And it really also depends on like what industry you're in and what you're doing to hit a million. You can hit a million with a single brand integration, like as a developer. So like sometimes it's super easy to make a million, sometimes it's harder. But that was the mentorship. So finding a team to build with rather than yourself. And then what it took to get there, the sacrifice that it took was, for me, not much, because my life was building a company. For other people who maybe, have a life outside of their company, you have to kind of accept that you have to put more hours in than you think. And it's going to take up more of your life, especially if you're starting from scratch, building your own company. You kind of have to go no life, from when you wake up to when you go to sleep, working on your business. And it's not even just like working and putting together a website. Like you have to be making sure that you're doing the right things. Because like the easiest way to get to $1 million is to sell $1 million worth of stuff, not have a really cool looking logo and not have a really cool looking website. You have to just sell $1 million worth of whatever. But I think, just the sacrifice would be the time and the mental energy. Big things is other people take in information different than, I would. So if I like prefer, to watch a video to learn something, someone else might prefer, it to be written out, or have like an audio recording. So like, how I communicate with those people, or like how I train them up, will depend on, how they take in information. So just understanding that first of all, and then how they communicate, it will be different than how I communicate. So they might prefer text, or they might prefer video face-to-face calls like this.
Yeah.
So just understanding that. So understanding, how they take in information, how they communicate, and then, what sort of like leadership, style do they, respond best to. So there's different types of leaders. You can be more authoritative, where you're, just like kind of blunt and straightforward with how you lead, or you can be more empathetic in how you interact with your team. So just understanding, how they react and take in leadership, and how to lead those types of people. So I think the biggest thing I've learned is people are different than I am, and accepting that, and then trying to understand them, because that's ultimately how you're going to build your company, is with a good culture and understanding your people. I think that's definitely the biggest lesson that I've learned, and it's something that I constantly am trying to improve, like on myself, is like, how can I best lead each individual team member? It depends on, how that person takes in information. Like I said, like, do they need to be like illustrated exactly what you need? Do you need to like sketch out exactly what you need? Do you need to write it down?
Oh yeah. That's true.
So maybe it's not necessarily a lack of communication. Maybe it's they just take in information differently than you do.
What's the tips that you want to give in terms of like entrepreneurship in general?
Yeah. If you read Alex Ramosi tweets, I think they generally align with what I've been saying in this video. Is to be alive is to suffer, and it's the same case with being an entrepreneur. To be an entrepreneur is to suffer. So the sooner you accept that, the better. Entrepreneurship is definitely not meant for everybody. I will say that. So I made, several $1 million this year, and that was incredibly difficult, mentally, and the amount of pressure that you'll be put under as an entrepreneur is going to be, sometimes it will feel unbearable. And I think with that, my advice would be to build your endurance for suffering, build your endurance for the pressure that entrepreneurship will bring to you, especially if you're wanting to make several $1 million and build a big company that supports yourself, that supports other people, and sets you up, for long-term success. It's just be prepared and build up the endurance for the pressure, for the suffering, for the stress, especially. That's like very, very practical advice. It's just start building up that endurance. So that's, practicing with even small things that stress you out, like not getting overwhelmed, and like seeing what you can do to push through things that are overwhelming and that are very stressful. It's just getting that practice in daily, because dealing with stress is definitely a muscle that you have to constantly work out. And dealing with the pressure, same thing. You have to constantly, work on dealing with that pressure. And there's different ways to do it. Like obviously going to the gym is one way to, deal with the stress, but just being prepared for that, building up the endurance, and just understanding that entrepreneurship sucks.
Expect the highs and the lows.
Yeah. Yep.
That completely smooth into what I'm about to ask you next about the roadblocks and stuff. What's the biggest roadblocks that you gone through, and like how do you overcome it, and what do you learn from it?
Oh man, biggest constant roadblock that I tend to encounter is, really tough conversations with people. So obviously being an entrepreneur, part of that is hiring people. Part of it's also firing people. So that's also like another muscle you have to work on, is like dealing with tough conversations. So I think, yeah, the tough conversations where you have to like let someone go, or you have to fire someone, like that is definitely a constant roadblock. Not a constant roadblock, but a roadblock that I don't like to encounter, that definitely takes a toll on me mentally, because obviously I really like the people that I work with, but sometimes it doesn't make sense for us to work together. Sometimes they have a better opportunity somewhere else, and you have to kind of open that door for them. And like, I don't know, on a different like note as well, as like maybe the same note, is like on projects, like working with people as well. Like someone might get sick, or someone might, have to go, away for a week suddenly in the middle of a project. And now suddenly you don't have someone to help you finish up this project, and you're put in a bad spot. So you have to go out and find new talent, or like you personally have to go, work on that project. Like from the start of Barrier 4, like I was doing all of the recording and editing of the game trailers. And then as we've slowly built up the team to record and edit without me, there have been holes over the years where someone like the editor, suddenly can't work on the project. And then now we're put in a really bad spot because like the deadline's on Friday or whatever. And I have to step in, or like I have to go find someone to fill that role. But I think the biggest challenge for me has just been, I guess, the people side of things, because it's always so tough to like someone and not be able to work with them, or someone has to like leave randomly through the project.
Okay, this is another interesting question to ask you, because success is like when you get to the point where you set the goals, the new goals comes in.
Yeah.
What's success then? Does it even worth chasing?
My goals were want to hit 6 figures in revenue, then I want to hit $1 million in revenue, and then it slowly shifted to now I want to hit 6 figures in profit, and then I want to hit 6 figures in revenue. So like my goals for a while have been completely financial, has been entirely focused on the numbers within the business. But I think, and I tweeted about this today, or not today.
That's why I'm asking you this question, because I saw that tweet.
Yeah. So my goals have shifted to, I just really want to enjoy what I do on a daily basis. I want to, have fun with the people that I work with, and then work in a cool office. Like I spent a lot of money on these custom paintings because they look awesome. And they make my office.
I love your Porsche.
Thank you. I like it too. But that's what my goals have shifted to. It's I just want to enjoy what I do, because entrepreneurship is suffering. So if you're going to suffer, you might as well
Enjoy it.
Enjoy what you're working on while you suffer. That's what my goals have shifted to. And I think the money, especially if you enjoy it, the money kind of flows in after that. Like for the past year, I've definitely enjoyed what I've done, and the money has just followed that, because the clients see that you're passionate about what you're doing and you have a good product going, that the money literally just kind of comes to you. I think whatever amount of money lets you live comfortably. And I know Emar and Gatsi and all these other younger entrepreneurs say that you need to like retire your family, you need to set up generational wealth. That's just kind of unnecessary pressure on like our generation of entrepreneurs. Like if you make 6 figures, which is super easy on your own within a business, if you make 6 figures a year, you can stop there and just continue just to ride the wave of 6 figures. You don't need to make 8 figures, 7 figures. You don't need to retire your parents if you don't want to. Like obviously if you do, that's great, but you don't need to like submit to the pressure of like the entrepreneurship community of retire your family, buy supercars, buy a mansion. Make the amount of money that makes you comfortable, that you can wake up, be happy with what you have, in what you're doing. That's what I would say. Because like, yeah, 6 figures is a ton of money. That's a ton of money.
What's the plan for the future for now? Like, how are you planning to like maintain the success and everything? Like, do you ever have some doubts? Like, if it's gonna go down, it's gonna go up, whatever.
Yeah, every month that definitely has changed. I've already kind of accepted that things are gonna go up, things are gonna go down, and Gary V, if you guys know him, he says if you expect nothing, you can't be disappointed.
Yeah.
So I expect nothing. That's kind of where I'm at. I just expect that I'm gonna wake up and go to work, and whatever happens. I'm gonna do everything in my power to make sure it goes well. But I have minimal expectations for if it's going to go great or if it's going to go terribly. I kind of just continue forward no matter what. Just wake up, go to work, doing the same thing every day. Besides Saturday and Sundays, I think that's also something else that like the entrepreneurship community says is like, you have to work every weekend, because if you don't work weekends, then your competitors are going to get ahead of you. So what? Let your competitors get ahead of you. That's completely fine. As long as like you're happy and you're doing what you want, you're making the money you want, you're good. I take weekends off, but I know I'm going to maintain my success because I have nothing else to do. It's like I burned the boats so long ago that it doesn't matter anymore. Like I'm here. I've started several companies before. If I need to start another company, I will find a way to make it work. I'm going to be resourceful no matter what. Sure.
What do you wish to tell the younger generations of Roblox developers out there?
So I think my advice for just younger Roblox creators in general, whether you're a developer, whether you're doing videos, commissions, whatever, it's consistency is definitely the way that you're gonna get to where you want to be. And it's not the consistency that you see from the YouTube entrepreneurs. It's the consistency of every single day, same time from when you wake up to when you go to bed. Like you're gonna be doing the same boring stuff every single day. You're going to spend your 15 to 25, you're going to be working. Just expect it to suck, expect the challenges, expect the pressure, expect the stress, and then push forward regardless. Because what else are you going to do? Are you going to go do something that you don't want to do instead? Because that's going to suck even more than the suck of building what you want to build. So just expect it to suck, because to be alive is to suffer. So the sooner that you expect that, and the sooner that you accept it, the faster that you will get to where you want to be. So there are roadblocks on Roblox. Get over it. At the end of the day, you're the star.
Peace out.